Hello, my name is Danny Nowlan and I'm the Director of ChassisSim Technologies. In this video tutorial today, what I want to do is to introduce you guys to how to get up and running with ChassisSim Online. Now, what ChassisSim Online is a very, very cost-effective way for you to get going with simulation. Now, as you can see, what we've got up here is ChassisSim Elite. This is the full version of ChassisSim. Now, what ChassisSim Online, or what we like to refer to as ChassisSim Professional Online is it basically gives you the full editing features of ChassisSim, plus we throw in the bump profiling toolbox and the tire force modeling toolbox. So really, for those of you who are a little bit nervous about how to get going with simulation and probably just a little bit apprehensive about where to go, ChassisSim Professional Online is a really, really good start point. Also, too, for those of you who are freelance engineers or smaller racing teams, this is a really invaluable aid to get a significant way down the road when you don't have an awful lot of money to spend. Now, it's not the full version of ChassisSim, however, it's a fantastic way to get going. Now, what I'm going to do in this tutorial is to show you just how easy it is to get going with ChassisSim Online. So let's get started. So, the first thing you do is that you go to the ChassisSim website and you bring up the online simulation. Now, what you do is, if you're a first-time user, you fill in this particular fill in this particular section. So you would fill in your name. So Jim. So Jim Jones. You'd fill in your email address. So my email address. And then you fill in your physical address, what country you're from, your password, the confirm password, what state, county, province you're in. Click on this to say that you've agreed to the terms and conditions, which are pretty simple, by the way, which basically says that you use this at your own risk. Then you click on register. Now, when you've done that, it will basically take you to the ChassisSim admin page. Now, once you've done that, it'll take you to the ChassisSim admin page, and let me show you what that's going to look like. So if you're an existing user, what you'll do, let me log in with my personal personal login address, and my password is XXXXX. Actually, I typed in the wrong password. And so you go into login. So it'll just do its thing. Now, once it's logged in, what you're going to see is that you'll see an option to purchase credits. So you've got two options, which is basically an update pack at 25 credits or a race pack at 50 credits. Now, this is all processed through a PayPal gateway. So to process that, you just click on continue, and that will bring up the PayPal payment gateway. So it's totally secure. You can either pay with your PayPal account, or you can pay with a Visa card or a MasterCard, and at either $125 Australian or $250 Australian, it's absolutely outstanding value. So once you've got that set up, your next step now is to download the software, and to do that, you just simply click on download the online simulation, and that'll take just a moment or two to bit up. So I just simply click on save, and it's just going to go. It's now going to go for about a minute or two to do its thing. We're just about done here, and now all we've got to do is that we now go to our. Now all we do is we go to our downloads folder. And now all we've got to do is that we can extract this to a directory of our choice. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lazy option. All I've got to do is download. Now, just a quick question, just a quick point. For those of you who are running Windows XP, you might need to run this Visual C redistribution pack, x86sp1.exe. Honestly, It's not that much to worry about. Most people running Windows 7, Windows 8 are not going to have to do this, but you'll know you'll have to do it if you install ChassisSim, you open up ChassisSim, you get a message saying there are some libraries that are not included. If that happens, all you need to do is run this. So to run this up, all we've got to do is we double click. And so that'll just take a few moments. We click on next. I accept the terms of the agreement. Next, next, and we just let the install shield do its thing. When it's done, you'll get a message like this. The README file's there just for your reference. By all means, have a read through it, no pun intended. But when it's done, what you're going to wind up with, what you'll wind up with is this icon down here, ChassisSim Professional Online. So to log into it, all you've got to do is double click on it. Now, if you've got any firewall software, it will basically prompt you to allow this to communicate with the internet. So basically click on allow, save my answer as a permanent rule. I want to go through one thing here, and one thing here very, very clearly about what ChassisSim is doing. Everything that you're going to do in terms of your simulation work, logging to data, etc., will stay on your local PC. In some respects, ChassisSim Online is a bit of a misnomer because the only bit of it that is online is the licensing is taken care of online. We simply, when you buy 50 simulations, you're buying 50 sims. It basically puts it on our server, and every time you run a simulation, it deducts a credit. That's all it does. So that's the only thing you've got to be aware of. I don't. Your personal details are not compromised at all, and quite frankly, I don't care about your personal details because I've got better things to do. So we click on OK, and we save the answer as a permanent rule. So it'll just take a few moments to that'll just take a few moments to boot up. So what we now do is, now typically what we'll do, if this is a computer that has not had ChassisSim Online running before, you'll be prompted with a dialog box asking for your email and your password. So if that doesn't come up, no problem. All you've got to do is click on online login. You put in your email. And we put in our password. We click on OK. And now you'll see a little, if it's successful, you'll see a little green box saying logged in. So to run a simulation, all we need to do now is basically select your appropriate car, select a circuit. I'm just going to scale down the bumps here because this place is exceptionally bumpy. Click on OK, go to start simulation. Now there's going to be a very slight delay as it communicates with the server, and when it's done, it's now going to go off and it's going to do its thing. So that pretty much is what you need to do to get going with ChassisSim Professional Online. There's nothing scary here. There's nothing overly complicated. So in the space of a few minutes, we've gone from not having ChassisSim Professional Online on our computer to having ChassisSim Online on our having ChassisSim Professional Online on our computer, and you can just see how straightforward it is. Now, couple of words for the whys. First things first, when you download ChassisSim, if I were you, I would be following these instructions like glue. In particular, what I would be following here is these quick start guides. They are not put there. Put there for your entertainment. They are put there to help to get you going. Now, where these basically exist is in the ChassisSim help directory. And to show you where that is, what I'm going to do is go to ChassisSim Technology, ChassisSim version 323. We go to our help directory, and basically here is basically where all our quick start guides are. This is your best friend for getting going. In particular, to give you a really good overview of what you need to do here is the ChassisSim process, which will basically walk you through everything that you're going to need to do at a glance. So I would really be reading that. So as sort of a final thought in terms of ChassisSim Online, for those where this is really suited is basically I would suit it in a number of areas. First things first, for those of you who are in professional race teams and want to get going and want to try out ChassisSim, this is your first step. In particular, what I would be what I'd be concentrating on, not necessarily making the best model of the world, but just really sort of dipping your toe in the water. The other area where ChassisSim Professional Online falls into place is the freelance engineer or the small race team or club racer who wants to use simulation tools and doesn't have a big budget. Typically, the way we've structured it is once you're really getting going with ChassisSim, you typically do about 50 sims for a race weekend, give or take. So really, over the course of a season, you're looking in the order of, depending whether you're doing 10 or 12, if you're doing about 10 or 12 races, the bill comes in to about 2.5 to the $3,000 Aussie mark. So really, and that's spread out over 10 to 12 race weekends. It really is not that much of an impost in terms of what you would go through the season. Now, please bear in mind, ChassisSim Professional Online doesn't include everything. However, it has enough for you to do a pretty good job. And in particular, with the bump profiling toolbox and the tire force modeling toolbox, it's not ChassisSim Elite. However, it will get you a fair way down the road. However, don't take my word for it. Go to the don't take my word for it. Go to the ChassisSim website. Create yourself an account. Buy a few sims. If you're new at this, give us a hoy on info@chassissim.com, and we'll also throw in a few extra sims to help get you going. But find out for yourself just what a powerful tool ChassisSim Professional Online can be.